Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is a jack of all trades, from modeling to his blogs, and that's just to name a few. But he's adding to his resume with a new podcast, the Tall Tallk Podcast, which he launches next month. So now he joins us to discuss it all. Please help me welcome to the show, Rah Mosely. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Stephen. It's been a minute since we talked and worked together.
Exactly. You had me out doing a photo shoot early morning one Sunday. But no.
Yeah.
Well, listen, so, we're all going through this pandemic. Hopefully we're going on the tail end of it, although some people are saying it may be a few years. How have you been doing through all this?
It's been a very interesting experience. It's a lot of, I guess it's a lot of good and bad. I think the good is it's made us slow down a bit and made us kind of like take inventory of things that's really important,
right,
and try and work on some things and work on ourselves, because a lot of people lost their jobs. You have to be creative with means of income and trying things that you probably wouldn't have tried before and stepping out and just kind of like making things happen. So I think that was definitely a good thing for a lot of people. I really don't want to talk about the bad because we're not into 2020 no more. So
right.
We all experienced some bad last year, but we made it through. So thankful for that.
Most definitely. Well, I know you're a model. A lot of your branding is tall, and for people watching, it's because he's 6'10".
Yeah, I'm 6'10". Yeah,
6'10". So tell us about your modeling, because I know that you frequently, between your blog, we'll talk about, and you post your different modeling. How have you been able to do that during the pandemic?
The pandemic definitely slowed things down because a lot of things were canceled this last year that I was supposed to do.
Right.
Full Figure Fashion Week canceled, and the awards was canceled. Even the shoot that I booked the Johnny Big campaign in December of 2019, and we were supposed to shoot again in 2020, but they're based out of Australia. So they weren't letting them fly into the States. Yeah. So we couldn't do that shoot, which was like, y'all messing with my money now.
Right.
So, that was kind of upsetting. And there was a couple other things that, go on throughout the year that, we had to cancel because of the social distancing and no large groups and stuff like that. So it kind of slowed things down, but I did manage to book a few things also still. I had a campaign with Fred B Grooming, which is hair care products and beard grooming products for men. So we shot that, and we actually shot that here in Atlanta. So that was, good because it came unexpected. So I was able to do that. Still kind of keep moving and doing things. Like I said, but things did slow down, but I was, grateful for that opportunity and to just kind of like still do my own thing and kind of keeping myself out there during this time period where, you can't really travel as much. So hopefully things will pick back up soon.
And what do you think? Because a lot of people, they come to Atlanta to vacation and get away because Atlanta is wide open. When most places you can't have more than 6 people in the house. Atlanta, they said, tell me, they are spread wide open.
And it's crazy because a lot of those people that come here be the people that come here and cause the problems, and then they take their asses back home. Like,
I was talking to one of my friends, and he was out here recently, and he told me he got COVID out here.
Oh wow, yeah. It's. I understand the fact that a lot of these businesses wanted to get back open and get back moving because it's the way they feed their family and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, we got to be cautious with things. And like some of these clubs were still packed out. You see it on Instagram, you see the videos, and it's like there's no way you could social distance at a club. So it's like some of those things are kind of like to the extreme. And I think that people don't really, think it all out. Like, this is it could be an event where everybody in here could end up catching COVID. Like, you got to think about stuff like that. And I'm at the point where the club scene is thing for me anyway. So I'll be the one falling asleep in the club. So I'm good on that part. I stay away from that. I go to work and I come home. But other than that, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, tell us about your blog, because I know you've been doing the blog for a while now. And and I followed it over the years. Tell us about your blog.
The blog, I created it basically as a way to help other tall guys, like inspire them with, fashion. I also was a licensed personal trainer, so I would do health posts and workout posts too. And just talk about different, lifestyle things. One thing about being tall, people tend to think that that's all you are. And I know you've got that before. Yeah. It's like people ask you how tall you are before they ask your name. And it's just like, I'm a human being too. Like, I'm not just tall.
But you remember that time we went on TV years ago and it was a father and son. And he asked us what team we play on. And we told him Canada.
And stuff like that happens all the time. It's like people just I don't, maybe it's because we're tall and we don't get to see ourselves the way people see us. Right. So it doesn't really like affect us in that way. Now, when I do see other tall people, I feel like, oh, we're the same tribe. Like I do get that feeling, but I don't like fan out on them and be like, oh my God, you're tall. Because I know how irritating that can be.
Right.
But yeah, it's, I basically created the blog for those intentions. So people, because a lot of tall guys aren't confident. And I used to be one of them who wasn't confident in my height and kind of like would fade into the background or try to not to be seen. But you can't do that because
you're going to be seen. Yeah.
Everybody's going to see you. Yeah. So, and it was a means of me, helping other people. And I got a lot of good feedback when it first came out. And it's still been going strong. And I feel like I reach a lot of people and I give guys something that they might, need as far as inspiration. And I always tell people, you can email me, ask me questions. Right. Where I one thing that I do love is to shop. So I'm available to help people if they need styling or, just have different things. And I've helped guys out, like finding things for specific events and stuff like that. So it's been a good thing. And that's actually how the modeling kicked off, because I had kind of gave up on, trying to model. But once the blog came out, more people reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to do this? And from there, it's just like I got more recognition. And I was like, well, I'm not going to turn this away. Yeah.
So on top of everything else you got going on, I'm minding my own business on Facebook the other day, and I see the Tall Tallk Podcast. I'm like, what you got going on now? Tell us about the podcast and what can we expect? And what was your inspiration for it first?
So the inspiration behind the podcast, the Tall Tallk was like when I interviewed you for the blog. Mm-hmm. So the Tall Tallk basically was an interview session. And I came up with that idea because I was like, maybe I should interview other guys. I think when I created the blog, I didn't want it to just be me on the blog and pictures of me. So I was like, I could interview other guys, do a photo shoot with them, showcase their style, ask them questions about their style, what they do for a living, just to kind of show everybody's not an athlete. We don't make it to the pros, and we have different backgrounds. And some guys are, some tall guys are really smart and have like, really good careers that they actually use their brain, because most of the time they think that, he's just tall and stupid.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to interview guys to kind of showcase their different backgrounds and, fields and everything. So I was toying around with the idea of doing a podcast. And a friend of mine was like, well, why don't you turn the Tall Tallk into a podcast? And I was like, you know what? That is a good idea. And from there, I kind of like expanded even more, because I was like, I don't want it to just be, it's going to be the Tall Tallk inspired by tall people. And we're going to talk about tall things, but I also want to talk about other stuff that's important too, like mental health, health in general, current events, topics that's going on in the world today. I want to talk about that also. And I haven't really like announced it yet, but I have a special guest host who's going to be on the show with me too, who's going to be speaking from the female perspective of tall women. We're going to be releasing that soon on who she is. And it's someone, people who know me probably know her also. So I think it's a good combination. And she has a blog also, and she brings, her own audience. And I think it'd be a good mixture of, both worlds.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people over the, the pandemic created podcasts, as a way, especially a lot of actors and artists that couldn't work or couldn't, travel, tour. They the podcast. Do you see that as the next big trend?
I do see podcasts as a trend because I think it's a way for people to get out their creativity and to like let their voice be heard on certain topics. For me, I think it's going to help me because I can be kind of, like I say, I'm social, but I'm not social. And I think I need to talk more. I think people want to hear me talk. They want to hear my opinions and hear me talk about different things. So I think it'd be good for me to kind of get me out of my shell a bit. And to just show that, you know, I do have a pretty good sense of humor, I believe. I mean, I make my friends laugh. And just to show, you know, my opinion on different things that's going on in the world today. And I also was telling a friend, I was like, you know, she has a podcast, and I think you never realize who you could be helping and who you reach
who's
like,
listening,
with your story. Yeah. And I've had people reach out to me from the blog, you know, like, hey, you know, I didn't think that I could find things like this in my size, or, you know, you inspired me to get out and shop more and to care more about my personal appearance. And you never know, like the world is so big, and sometimes we don't realize that, you know, once it's out on the internet, everybody is out there, and you don't know who's watching, who's seeing, and who's being inspired by you. So I think, you know, podcasts are good because it's something out there for everybody. It's a podcast out there for everybody that to listen to and to get, you know, information from, you know. So I think it's a good thing that, you know, podcasts are becoming as popular as they are.
Yeah. So when does yours air, and where can we watch it?
So the release date of the podcast is actually going to be on my birthday. So Monday, March 8th is going to be, that's my target. I'm not going to say that's my target. That's the day I'm going to have it done, the first episode out by then.
Got to.
But I think after that, the normal release date is going to be Wednesday. It's going to come out every, you know, try and have one every Wednesday. But the first episode will definitely be out on my birthday.
Nice. And where can we watch it or listen to it?
The podcast is going to be on all of the platforms, on Apple, Spotify, what are the other ones? I'm still learning all of the forms that the podcast can be on.
Wherever you watch or listen to your podcast, it'll be on there.
It's going to be there. I'm going to make sure that it's there.
Right. So what else you got coming on down the future? I think you got some other projects you're working on.
I'm still going to be working with Johnny Big, and probably do some more stuff with Fred B. Grooming. I just recently did a campaign. It's just a social media campaign for Durex condoms. I am going to work on some merchandise for the podcast. So maybe some Tall Tallk hoodies and t-shirts and stuff like that. And just overall, just growing my brand more, getting my name out there more. I've been working with an acting coach, so that's something that I'm, you know, working on too. Just trying to get myself out there more. And I think I'm close to where I want to be. It's like I'm right on the edge of it. So I'm just, you know, pushing myself more and more.
Well, listen, the podcast is called the Tall Tallk Podcast, March 8th. It's going to be wherever you listen to your podcast. Rah Mosely, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Wish you nothing but continued success in all that you do. And for more information, go to our website, thestephennightshow.com, and we will be right back.